Welcome to the Heavenly Visions Experience. I'm your host, Joe, and today's episode is unlike any other. Sitting with me at this table are two figures whose story every generation has wrestled with: Adam and Eve. Whether you know them from scripture, from tradition, or from the questions in your own heart, their voices have echoed through history. And now, for the first time, we hear them directly.
Thank you, Joe. It is unusual, but necessary to sit here and speak. My story has been told and retold in countless ways, but rarely with my own voice. Today, I hope clarity will come.
And I am thankful for the chance to be heard. For so long, I've been remembered only by fragments, by blame, by silence. Perhaps here, in this conversation, I can share more than the story people think they know.
That's exactly why we're here. This isn't about judgment or easy answers. It's about hearing, understanding, and reflecting. We're going to take our time, a full hour together, and minute by minute, we'll explore what happened in Eden, what it meant, and what it still means now. So, let's begin at the beginning. Adam, Eve, before the choice, before the serpent, before the fall, tell us, what was life like in the garden?
The garden was unlike anything words can capture. Every tree, every stream, every breeze carried life. Nothing was hidden, nothing corrupted. I walked with strength unburdened, and the earth itself responded to me. Every creature had its place, and I was at peace in my place among them.
Yes, there was no hunger that wasn't met, no thirst that went unquenched. Colors were brighter, sounds clearer. Even silence was alive with meaning. We lived without fear, without doubt. It felt as if the world itself sang.
You're describing a kind of perfection most of us can't even imagine. No pain, no confusion, no mistrust. Just harmony.
Harmony, yes, everything was whole. My work was not toil, but joy. To name, to tend, to walk in the cool of the day, these were not burdens, but gifts.
And love. There was love that needed no words, because nothing stood between us. No shame, no distance. Just truth, just presence. It was home.
Home in its purest form. All right, this is where we'll begin, with the world as it was meant to be. And from here, we'll trace how it changed.
The garden was alive in ways that words barely hold. The animals, they did not fear me. The lion lay beside the lamb. The eagle above did not strike the dove. Each creature walked in its place, and I walked among them with peace. Their voices, the calls, the songs, it was a chorus, not chaos. The birds especially, their songs filled the air from dawn until dusk, rising like praise with no end.
You mean even their sounds, the very noise of the garden, carried harmony?
Yes, nothing clashed. Even the rustling of leaves, the flowing of rivers, the footsteps of the deer, everything fit together. The colors were rich, the greens of the trees, the gold of the fruit, the sky that turned to fire at evening, but never burned with sorrow. It was beauty unbroken, Joe. Beauty that never faded.
And every day felt new, yet familiar. Nothing grew old, nothing decayed. Each sunrise felt like the first.
To hear it spoken like this, it sounds like the world itself breathed with you, sang with you, a kind of perfection most can only dream of.
It was perfection. The earth was my companion, not my enemy. I never knew thorns, nor storm, nor death, only life.
Adam, you've spoken of the animals, the garden, the sounds of life all around you, but I have to ask, what about God? What was it like to walk with him in that place?
It was unlike anything words can hold, Joe. When he came, the garden itself seemed to grow still. The birds quieted, the wind softened, even the water seemed to flow more gently. His presence wasn't just seen or heard, it was felt. Every part of me knew I was before the one who gave me breath.
You mean it wasn't fear? It was something else?
No fear, only reverence, only love. His voice carried strength, yet gentleness. When he spoke, it was like the earth itself was listening with me. I walked with him as a son with his father. There was no veil, no distance, just closeness, just peace.
And his presence filled us with purpose, to care, to tend, to love. It wasn't command alone, it was joy. We lived in his light, and the garden shone because of him.
So Eden wasn't only a home, it was a place where heaven touched earth, where God walked among you.
Yes, Joe, that's the truth. He was near, always near.
Eve, Adam spoke of walking with God as a son with his father. For you, what was it like? How did you experience his presence?
It was like being known completely, Joe. Every thought, every breath, every part of me was open before him. And yet there was no shame, only love. When he looked upon me, I felt no lack, no doubt. I was whole because he was near.
So his presence was more than just command, it was relationship.
Yes, his words were not only law, they were life. When he spoke, it was as if creation itself leaned closer to listen. And I too leaned closer, not from duty, but from delight. His nearness was comfort. His voice was clarity. In him, I found peace beyond words.
And together, we felt his joy in us. He was not far, not hidden. He walked where we walked. He gave and asked only that we remain in him.
And I wanted nothing more, for in his presence I lacked nothing. That's powerful. To be fully known, fully seen, yet never diminished. A relationship so pure, it's hard to even imagine today.
That's powerful. To be fully known, fully seen, yet never diminished. A relationship so pure, it's hard to even imagine today. Adam, before Eve was created, it said you were alone in the garden, surrounded by life, yet still, without someone like you. Can you tell us what that was like?
It was a strange kind of emptiness, Joe. The garden was full of beauty, full of sound, full of life. The animals moved beside me, the birds sang above me, and God himself walked with me. And yet, when the day was quiet, when the work was done, there was a silence in me that nothing around me could answer.
So even in perfection, you still felt a need?
Yes, not because God's presence was lacking, but because I was not complete. The lion had its mate, the dove had its companion, even the smallest of creatures moved in pairs. But I walked alone. I named them all, one by one, but as I looked, none was like me. None could stand beside me as my equal.
And that is why I was brought forth. Not from the dust as Adam was, but from his very side, so that he would never again stand alone. I was not apart from him, but of him, and yet still myself.
So even in paradise there was a longing. And Eve, your creation was the answer to that longing. A reminder that even in perfection, we were made for relationship. Eve, you said you were brought forth from Adam. Can you describe what that first moment was like? Your first awareness of life?
It is hard to capture in words, Joe. My first breath felt as though the garden itself breathed with me. I opened my eyes and the light was unlike anything. Pure, golden, warm. The air itself embraced me. My senses were alive, yet I felt no fear, only peace.
And Adam? Did you see him then?
Yes. I turned and I saw him, the one from whom I had come. His eyes were filled with wonder, as though he was seeing not just me, but a part of himself made visible. And in that moment, I knew I was not alone, and neither was he. We were meant to walk side by side.
When I looked upon her, I knew she was unlike any other. Not a beast, not a creature, but flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. In her, I saw my answer, my companion, my equal. It was as though the silence I carried was broken with a song.
So your very first awareness, Eve, was life and love. Not born of struggle, not born of striving, but given freely. That's profound.
Yes, I was born into love, into wholeness, into a place where nothing was missing.
Eve, I've got to ask you this. What was it like the very first time you opened your eyes? I mean, that's a pretty big moment. You wake up in paradise. What's going through your mind?
Honestly, Joe, my first thought was, wow, this place is nice. The light, the air, everything felt alive. It wasn't confusion, it was more like instant peace. Like I'd been home all along, even though I'd just arrived.
And then you turn and boom, there's Adam. What's that like?
Well, imagine waking up and the first face you see is this guy staring at you like he just saw fire for the first time. His eyes were huge, and he looked half amazed, half relieved. I could tell right away. He'd been waiting.
Hey, can you blame me? I've been naming animals all day. Lion, zebra, ostrich, platypus. Nothing was quite cutting it for companionship. Then suddenly, here's Eve. Not a beast, not another bird, but someone like me. Honestly, Joe, it felt like the silence broke into music.
So Eve, your first thought was, nice place. Adam's first thought was, finally someone I can actually talk to. That's a pretty epic first meeting.
Exactly. No awkward introductions, no small talk, just instant connection.
All right, so you two meet for the first time. Adam's relieved, Eve's impressed with the place. But what about the first days together? What was it like, learning to live side by side in the garden?
Well, let's just say Adam wasn't exactly a smooth talker. His first idea of bonding was showing me all the animals he'd named. Imagine an endless tour guide. That's a giraffe, that's a hippo, that's a duck-billed platypus. I mean, Joe, I didn't even know what a platypus was supposed to be.
Hey, don't act like you weren't impressed. That platypus is still one of my best works. Besides, I was trying to make sure she knew I was busy before she showed up. Like, I wasn't just sitting around waiting.
So Adam, you're basically saying, look, Eve, I'm important. I named stuff.
Exactly. Big responsibility. You don't get to name an armadillo every day.
But here's the truth. Once the animal tour was over, the garden felt different. With Adam there, it was like paradise doubled. Work became lighter, days felt shorter, and even the birds sang sweeter. Still, he definitely liked to brag about those names.
So the first days in Eden were basically a mix of romance, animal tours, and Adam flexing his naming skills. Sounds like the ultimate icebreaker. All right, you've got the animals named, the tour's done, the introductions out of the way. Let's talk about food, because I know my audience. Everyone wants to know, what was Eden's menu like?
Except Adam still acted like a caveman at a buffet. He'd grab the biggest fruit he could find and eat it like he hadn't seen food in a week. I had to remind him, slow down, Adam. It's not going anywhere.
Hey, you try walking past a tree that's literally handing you fruit. You'd grab two too. Don't judge me.
So Adam's the guy double-fisting mangoes in paradise while Eve's trying to keep it classy?
Exactly. I'd sit with a handful of berries, enjoying the taste, while Adam's halfway through an orchard. The garden had everything. Figs, grapes, pomegranates, fruits no one's ever even seen now. It was abundance without effort.
And for the record, Joe, I always shared. Sometimes after I finished mine, I'd offer her half of the next one.
Classic. Eden was perfect, but apparently Adam still had to learn table manners. So you've got endless food, perfect weather, and animals that don't bite. What did you two even do all day? What's a typical day in Eden look like?
Honestly, Joe, half the time we were just walking around saying, wow, this place is amazing. Every direction you looked, there was something new. A waterfall here, a tree covered in gold fruit there. It was like living in a resort that never charged rent.
That's true. But let's be real. Adam thought his job was way harder than it was. He'd say, I'm tending the garden today. But all that meant was moving a few branches and maybe patting the ground once or twice.
Hey, Don't downplay my responsibilities. Somebody had to look important out there. You can't just let a river run itself, you know?
So basically, you were the first guy ever to pretend to be busy while your wife saw right through it.
Exactly. And then, when he was done working, he'd want to race me to the fig trees or climb rocks like a little kid. Eden was his playground more than his garden.
Well, paradise gives you a lot of free time, Joe. You've got to enjoy it.
So Eden was part 5-star resort, part playground, and Adam was the first guy to work hard by rearranging leaves? Got it?
Okay, so you've got paradise, you've got all the food, animals, no bills to pay. But tell me this, between the two of you, who was smarter?
Me? No question. I named every animal. I kept the garden in order. I set the pace.
Oh, please. He thinks memorizing names like ostrich and porcupine makes him a genius. But let's be real, Joe. I was the one actually paying attention to details. Adam was strong, sure, but half the time he forgot what he named things.
That's not true. Okay, maybe once or twice I called the zebra a striped horse, but still.
So Adam's out here rebranding animals because he forgot their names. That doesn't sound too genius to me.
Exactly. I had the memory, the observation, the intuition. Adam had enthusiasm.
Hey, enthusiasm counts, all right? Besides, strength should count for something. If she saw a fallen branch, she'd call me over. Who do you think cleared the paths? This guy?
So we've got Adam, strong but forgetful, and Eve, sharp-eyed with the memory. Sounds like the original couple's dynamic hasn't changed much over time. All right, so Adam's the strong guy, Eve's the sharp one, but let's get real. Who was more adventurous? Who was the one saying, let's climb that, let's explore that?
Me. Definitely me. Adam liked to stay close to the rivers and the fruit trees. I was the one saying, let's see what's over the next hill.
That's not fair, Joe. She calls it adventurous. I call it dragging me on endless hikes when paradise already had everything we needed right in front of us.
Oh, come on, Adam. You loved it. Remember the first time we climbed the rocks by the waterfall? You were the one shouting, "This is amazing."
Okay, I'll admit it. The waterfall was pretty incredible. But Joe, let me tell you something. Eve had no fear. She'd walk right up to animals twice her size just to see if they were friendly. Meanwhile, I'm standing back like, maybe let's not pet the rhinoceros today.
So Eve's out here trying to make friends with rhinos, and Adam's the cautious one. That's a plot twist I didn't see coming.
Exactly. He acted like the protector, but half the time I was the one pulling him along.
And half the time I was pulling her back so she didn't do something crazy.
Sounds like the perfect balance. Eve the explorer, Adam the safety officer. Paradise needed both. So wait, Adam, you're saying you were the early riser, and Eve, you're saying he was basically Eden's first hibernating bear?
Exactly. I had to nudge him awake half the time. He'd pretend to be thinking deeply, but really he was just asleep in the shade.
But that's called a meditating, Eve. Big difference.
Right. What, the original excuse, I wasn't sleeping, I was meditating. I think people are still using that one today.
Trust me, Joe. It started with him.
All right, here's something I've always wondered. You had all these animals around, lions, elephants, monkeys, everything. Who lost patience with them first? Who got more annoyed?
Adam. Definitely Adam. He'd name them, sure, but then half the time he'd get frustrated when they didn't listen. He'd be like, "Come here, zebra," and the zebra would just wander off.
Hey, I had high expectations, all right? You name a creature, you'd think it would at least answer back. But no, half of them ignored me like I wasn't even there.
So Adam, you're telling me the first man ever was already mad about his pets not listening?
Exactly. Try calling a group of monkeys to sit still. Impossible. They'd steal fruit and throw it at me while Eve laughed in the background.
Because it was hilarious, Joe. He'd stand there, all serious, trying to look like he was in charge, while monkeys are pelting him with figs.
So Adam was Eden's first zookeeper, but with no fences and zero respect from the monkeys. That's comedy gold right there.
Pretty much. The animals loved me, though. They'd follow me around while Adam tried to act like the boss.
Yeah, because you fed them berries. I was the tough love guy. Someone had to keep order.
So Adam's out there trying to alpha the lions, and the lions are just like, relax, man, we're not even hungry.
Exactly. They didn't harm us, Joe. They were gentle, even playful. Sometimes they'd follow me around like curious pets, while Adam kept pretending he was in charge.
Hey, it worked. They never gave me trouble, did they? So Eden was the one place on Earth where lions were basically big house cats, and Adam was still trying to prove he was the boss. That's wild. Adam, I've got to ask you this. What did it actually feel like when God took a bone from your side to create Eve? I mean, that's not your everyday surgery.
Honestly, Joe, I didn't feel pain. God caused me to fall into a deep sleep. It was as if I closed my eyes, and when I woke, I was no longer alone. I only knew something was missing when I opened my eyes and saw her, because in that moment, I also felt whole again.
So it's like you lost something, but also gained more than you lost?
Exactly. I didn't wake up weaker. I woke up complete.
And let's be clear, Joe, he's been reminding me ever since. Anytime we argue, he loves to throw in, hey, remember, you came from my rib.
Well, it's true. Doesn't mean I don't value it, though.
So Adam gets surgery without anesthesia, wakes up with a wife, and now uses it as his ultimate comeback in arguments. That's one way to start a relationship.
Maybe, but from the very beginning, we were meant to belong to each other. His side was the perfect place for me to come from, close to his heart.
All right, Adam, be honest with me here. Do you ever joke about missing that rib? Like, man, I could have used that extra one?
Joe, I'll tell you this. When I look at Eve, I don't feel like I lost anything. But sure, I've made the joke once or twice. Like, if my side hurts after lifting something heavy, I'll say, guess that's where the rib used to be.
Oh, he loves that one. Any little ache, and it's suddenly, well, I did give up a rib for you.
So Adam's been using that line for centuries. The original husband excuse.
Hey, if you give up a rib, you earn the right to milk it a little.
And if you gain a wife, you earn the reminder that the rib was worth it.
So Adam, let me push this just a little further. Did you ever think about blaming God for taking your rib? Like, hey, I was fine before. Why'd you have to open me up?
No, Joe, not once. Because when I woke and saw Eve, it didn't feel like loss. It felt like gain. I wasn't robbed. I was completed.
Come on, though. Admit it. At least once you thought, really, Lord? You couldn't have taken a hair instead?
Okay, I'll give you that one. Maybe I'd have preferred a haircut over surgery. But still, if a rib was the price for Eve, it was a small one.
And don't forget, Joe, if God had taken his hair, Adam wouldn't have had any left. The rib was a safer option.
Oh, shots fired. Eve's already making ball jokes in Eden. This is getting good.
See what I have to deal with, Joe? First rib jokes, now hair jokes. Eden wasn't always as peaceful as people think.
All right, Eve, we've been talking about Adam losing a rib, but what about you? How does it feel knowing you were literally created from one of his ribs?
Honestly, Joe, I think it makes me unique. I mean, who else can say they were handcrafted from premium grade material? God didn't just scoop me out of the dust. He used the finest part of Adam.
Premium grade material? It was just a rib, Eve.
Exactly, Adam. Without that rib, you'd still be walking around alone talking to monkeys. So yeah, I'd say it was a pretty valuable piece.
Oh man, that's perfect. Eve's basically saying she's the upgrade. Adam 2.0.
That's right. The rib was just the blueprint. I'm the finished design.
See, Joe? I've been hearing this for years. Every time we argue, she reminds me she's the improved model.
Eve wins this round. From a rib to the finished design, Adam never stood a chance. Eve, you've already claimed you're the upgrade, the finished design. Do you have any more jokes lined up about this whole rib situation?
Oh, definitely, Joe. Because let's not forget, Adam here was made from dust, straight out of the dirt. Meanwhile, I was crafted from living flesh. So technically, I'm an improvement. He's Soil Edition, I'm Deluxe Edition.
Hold on. Dirt builds the foundation. Without me, there's no you. Dust first, rib second.
Yeah, but admit it, dust gets messy, Adam. Rib material, much more refined.
Oh man, this is gold. Adam's Dirt Edition, Eve's Deluxe Edition. You two are killing me.
See what I've dealt with for centuries, Joe? First I lose a rib, now I get roasted for being made of dirt.
Well, someone had to keep you humble.
So there you have it, folks. Adam was dust, Eve was deluxe. No wonder the banter started in Eden. All right, Dust Edition versus Deluxe Edition. Now I've got to know, who was more stubborn in Eden? Who always had to have the last word?
Eve, without question. Once she set her mind on something, there was no moving her. If she wanted figs, we were getting figs, even if we passed 10 other trees on the way.
Oh, please. Adam was the king of stubborn. He'd say, "I'm resting today, not doing a thing." And you couldn't budge him. He'd just sit under a tree, acting like he was guarding the garden.
So Adam's stubborn when it comes to work, Eve's stubborn when it comes to getting her way. Sounds like the balance was pretty even.
Pretty much, except when he pretended not to hear me. Classic Adam move. I'd ask for help, and suddenly he's lost in thought.
That was meditation, not ignoring. Big difference.
There it is again. Adam's eternal excuse, meditation. I think we've just discovered Eden's first loophole. All right, here's a fun one. Who was the bigger talker in Eden? Who couldn't stop chatting?
Eve. Definitely Eve. She could talk to anyone, birds, deer, even the fish in the river. If it moved, she had something to say to it.
Oh, please. Adam wasn't exactly silent either. The man named every single animal and then felt the need to explain why he picked the name. This one's a giraffe because look at the neck, Eve. See? Long neck. Makes sense, right? Every animal came with a lecture.
So Adam was basically Eden's first TED Talk speaker?
Absolutely. Somebody had to educate the audience. Just because she rolled her eyes doesn't mean it wasn't important information.
Important information? Joe? He gave a 15-minute speech about why the ostrich couldn't fly. The ostrich didn't even care.
Oh, that's amazing. Eve says Adam gave TED Talks to birds that weren't even listening, and Adam swears it was essential knowledge.
Hey, knowledge is power, even in Eden.
Okay, I've got to ask, in a garden full of birds singing all day, who was the better singer between the two of you?
Me, without question. I could hum along with the birds, and sometimes they'd even echo back. Adam tried, but let's just say the nightingales were not impressed.
Not impressed? Come on, I had range, Joe. Deep voice, strong notes. I could outroar a lion if I wanted to.
So Adam thinks he's a lion and Eve thinks she's the nightingale. Big competition here.
Exactly. The animals would actually gather when I sang. Adam's songs, they'd scatter.
That's because they didn't understand good music. It was too advanced for them.
Oh, classic. Adam says he was ahead of his time. Eve says she had the fan base. I think we've just discovered Eden's first music rivalry. All right, so we've settled the singing. Eve's the nightingale, Adam's the lion with range. But what about dancing? Who had the better moves in Eden?
Me, definitely me. I could dance with the flow of the rivers, with the rhythm of the birds. Adam's dancing, though? Let's just say it was more stomping than graceful.
Stomping? Come on, Eve. That was rhythm. Strong steps, powerful moves. I wasn't trying to impress the deer. I was keeping the beat.
So Adam was basically doing the world's first power stomp, while Eve's over here floating around like a ballerina?
Exactly. I'd move with grace, and he'd be shaking the ground like a mini earthquake.
Hey, somebody had to keep the elephants entertained. My style was earthy.
There you have it, folks. Eden's first dance-off. Eve the ballerina, Adam the stomper, and apparently, the elephants were his only fans. All right, here's something people don't think about. In Eden, with rivers and waterfalls everywhere, who bathed more? Who cared more about staying fresh?
Adam. Definitely Adam. He'd jump into the river 3 times a day just because he liked the splash. Half the time, I'd look up and he was already swimming with the fish.
Hey, can you blame me? The water was crystal clear, cool, refreshing. Besides, if you've got waterfalls, you've got to use them. That was paradise-level showering, Joe.
So Adam was basically Eden's first pool guy, just living in the water?
Exactly. Meanwhile, I enjoyed the baths too, but I wasn't diving in like a kid every 5 minutes. I'd sit by the water, let it flow over me, take my time. Adam, cannonballs.
There you go. Eve's calm, graceful bathing. Adam's out here doing cannonballs under waterfalls. Eden really had it all. All right. You two said you loved exploring Eden, climbing waterfalls, running through the garden. But tell me, who got tired first?
Eve. No question. She'd start strong, all energy and excitement. But an hour later, she'd be sitting under a tree saying, "Let's rest here for a while."
Oh, please, Joe. Adam's the one who wore out first. He'd race me up hills and then spend the next hour lying flat on the ground saying, "I'm just meditating."
There it is again. Adam's famous excuse. Not napping, not tired, meditating.
Hey, it's a valid excuse. Besides, paradise gives you time to recharge. No deadlines, no bosses, just naps, meditation.
Exactly. If you asked the garden who got tired first, even the trees would point at Adam.
Oh, let's settle this. Eve says Adam passed out first. Adam says Eve sat down first. Either way, sounds like Eden invented the nap break. All right. Paradise had every kind of fruit, every tree, every flavor you could imagine. But who was the pickier eater between you two?
Evening, no contest. She'd walk past 10 trees just to find the perfect fig. I'd grab whatever was closest and she'd say, "No, not that one. The sweeter ones are over there."
That's because you had no standards, Adam. He'd eat anything hanging low enough to grab. Me? I wanted the good stuff. Why settle for sour grapes when paradise had sweet ones just a few steps away?
So Adam's the grab-and-go guy and Eve's the food critic of Eden?
Exactly. I was practical, Joe. She was picky. I once saw her spend 20 minutes examining pomegranates like a jeweler looking at diamonds.
Well, excuse me for appreciating quality. And let's not forget, Adam, you once bit into a fruit without checking it. And it was so sour you nearly fell over.
Oh, that's perfect. Adam, the quick snacker. Eve, the first foodie. Eden really did have it all. Okay, so Adam's the quick snacker, Eve's the picky foodie. But who was messier when it came to eating?
Adam, hands down. He'd bite into a pomegranate and end up with juice all down his beard. Sometimes he looked more like a wild animal than the guy who named him.
Hey, pomegranates are messy for everyone. You can't eat those clean, Joe. And besides, Eve wasn't perfect either. Ever seen her eat berries? Her hands would be purple for the rest of the day.
So Adam's walking around with fruit juice in his beard, and Eve's got berry-stained hands. Eden sounds less like a garden and more like a giant food fight.
At least I washed mine off. Adam would wear his lunch like a badge of honor.
That's right, a warrior of the orchard, Joe. If I'm eating, the garden's gonna know it.
This is great. The first couple in history, and already they're roasting each other for table manners. Eden wasn't just paradise, it was comedy central. So when it came to resting in Eden, who hogged the best spots? You know, the shade under the best trees, the prime lounging real estate?
Evening, always Eve. She had a radar for the perfect tree. I'd find a spot, and 2 minutes later she'd say, No, the shade is better over here." And guess what? She was always right.
Of course I was right. Comfort matters, Joe. Why settle for half shade when paradise had perfection everywhere? I wasn't hogging. I was just choosing wisely.
So Eve was the first real estate agent, always finding the prime location.
Exactly. And sometimes she'd sit under that one tree just to make a point.
That one tree, huh? Sounds like there's a story there, but we'll save that for later.
Let's just say, Joe, I had an eye for details, even in trees.
Noted. Adam the napper, Eve the location scout. Eden sounds like the original vacation resort.